everybody. My name is Jaime Osborne, and I am the Outdoor Education Specialist with Lee County Parks and Recreation. Just a little bit about me and my background. So I've been with Lee County Parks and Recreation for 10 years as the Outdoor Education Specialist. I did a year with Fayetteville-Cumberland Parks and Recreation as well. But my focus has always been in outdoor recreation. So I went to East Carolina University. Had to wear my purple shirt today as I'm surrounded by these lovely NC State personnel and scholars. So I did go to East Carolina University. My degree is in recreational management with a concentration in outdoor recreation. And I have been working really hard in getting outdoor recreation implemented into my program, especially for my camps. And so that's where we are. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So, all right, so these first few slides are going to be focusing on how we can get our kids outside. Nature is not scary. We're going to look at some nature-based activities in a safe environment, hands-on activities outside, live animal presentations with native wildlife, and unstructured exploration. So nature-based activities in a safe environment. As I said, I work for Lee County Parks and Recreation. I really luck out because I work at a 188-acre park with a nature center and 2 ponds and 4 miles of hiking trails. And we have a lot of undeveloped open space for kids to explore. And one of the programs that I offer is a nature-themed day camp, both during the summer and during track out intercession breaks for year-round school. So paddle boating is a great activity that we do because it is a nice introduction to water-related recreation. They don't require too much skill. Okay, well, steering is a huge skill, but otherwise, if the kids can reach the pedals, they can pedal a paddle boat. It gets participants comfortable with wearing personal flotation devices, and most parks with lakes or ponds offer paddle boats for rent. Canoeing. Canoeing is a personal favorite because it can be done on a pond or lake or on a river. I actually prefer canoeing with 4- and 5-year-olds over paddle boating. The little ones have a hard time reaching the pedals in a paddle boat, but they can all put a canoe paddle in the water. Plus, it's a lot easier to balance a canoe with a 1-to-3 adult-child ratio than a paddle boat. If your local park doesn't offer canoes for rent and you are near a river, check to see if there's a local river company. Hiking. What I love about hiking is that as long as the trail is well marked, anyone can lead a hike. You can print off scavenger hunts or make your own, grab some field guides. If you or a participant find something and you don't know what it is, take a picture for later identification. Pinterest has great scavenger hunt ideas, or if you're at a local park, they probably have some specific to their park. Make sure your scavenger hunt lines up with the current season. Don't rush through the hike. Encourage the participants to look up, look down, look all around them. Hike a section in silence, or even separate them along the trail so that they have some alone time. Fishing. What is so awesome about North Carolina's Wildlife Resource Commission is that they have a rod and reel tackle loaner program that many parks with ponds and lakes take advantage of. If your participants are under 16, they can rent a rod and reel and might even get a tackle box to go fishing. Over 16, you can still rent a rod and reel, they just don't get a tackle box. The Wildlife Resource Commission might even stock that pond with channel catfish through their community fishing program. Some of their educational centers offer free fishing programs as well. A quick visit to their website, www.ncwildlife.org, and told me that the John E. Peckman Center and the Pisgah Center both offer free fishing programs. I've done the fishing program at the Peckman Center, and it's great because it's also a hatchery, and the kids are pretty much fishing in a bucket, and most, if not all, catch a fish. North Carolina State Parks offer a cast program, and I've taken my kids to Jordan Lake twice a year, every year, to do cast programs, and they love it. Not everyone catches a fish at Jordan Lake though, so be ready for that. But overall, it's a really great experience for the kids. Hands-on activities outside. Creek walks, a really great twist on a hike. Kids love to explore creeks. I require my participants to keep their shoes on, but being able to splash around, especially on a hot day, is so invigorating. It is a nice alternative to swimming in a pond, and following a creek allows you to see other parts of a park that you wouldn't see while staying on the trail. Salamander hunts. This is a great next step after a creek walk. Once the kids are comfortable walking through a creek and they know they're going to get wet, have them look for salamanders or other wildlife that lives in the area of the creek. Salamander hunts don't require much in the way of supplies. You just need a small net or strainer and a small container or baggie to hold the salamanders, and lots of patience. Maybe a hand lens if you want. I found some great containers with magnifying lenses as the lids for pretty cheap on Oriental Trading Company and Amazon. I've ordered from both locations. They do tend to fog up, so I usually just use the bottom. www.herpsofnc.org is a great resource for salamander identification. Pond studies. Kids love exploring water features. It's not something you can easily do in your backyard, so providing any excuse to get in the water is new and exciting for them. Ponds are home to a more versatile collection of wildlife than a creek is. Give the kids a sturdy net and tell them to scoop the gunk out of the bottom of the pond. It's really called detritus, and let them look through it with their bare hands. They will find all sorts of macroinvertebrates living in there. If they're really fast, they'll probably catch minnows and tadpoles and possibly even some baby turtles. Have them put what they found in containers for later identification, but keep in mind the natural order of the food chain when putting animals together in a confined space. And please be sure to put everything, the animals, detritus, everything back into the pond when you're done. Animal presentations. Any live animal is exciting, but by focusing on native wildlife, you're helping kids to learn more about what they're likely going to come across while hiking and exploring. Reach out to nature centers with live ambassadors. They are already prepared to give live animal presentations to large groups. Personally, I do live animal programs from 1 to 200 in attendance. The content's the same no matter the group size. I love giving snake programs. They are such a misunderstood animal, and that is one a participant can actually pet. Hawks and owls, squirrels, frogs, turtles, they're all great program animals, but when you remove that touch aspect, you lose a little bit in keeping everyone engaged. Unstructured exploration. please be sure to check the area for poison ivy and other things that could impose a threat before letting the kids explore. Let them build with natural materials. There is something about building dams that kids are fascinated with. Every chance they get, I feel like at least one, and then that turns into groups of them, and they start moving rocks and sticks to build up dams. I hate I didn't get a picture, but I had a group of campers build up two sides and create a pool of sorts in one of our creeks, and about 5 or 6 of them were just hanging out in the pool. A really strong rainstorm came the next day and washed it all away, so it didn't leave a lasting impact, which was really nice. But the kids really enjoyed just building. Roll logs. You can do this when you're hiking and anywhere that there are logs. Be sure you roll the log towards you and no one is standing in front of the log you're rolling. You want the log to open up away from you. Look fast. Whatever is under there is going to want to go back under protection quickly, and then gently roll the log back to where it was originally. And those are animals that my campers have found under logs, the little ringneck snake and the 5-line skink. Look under rocks. That's probably a worm snake, we believe, that my campers, again, they found it under a rock. It's another child favorite. There's so many things that live under rocks. Use the similar techniques to log rolling, and be aware of the size of the rock the child is attempting to move. They're always trying to move rocks the size of their head. And I'm always like, no, smaller ones, please. Use extra caution when returning rocks to their original location to avoid accidentally injuring any wildlife. If any of these activities I've mentioned to help promote outdoor recreation are something that you're not comfortable with, reach out to your local parks and the environmental education centers. The staff there will be happy to assist you with anything you need. The environmental education certification program requires 30 hours of teaching the first cycle. So these environmental education centers will have people who are willing to help. Yes, the dreaded pros and cons of outdoor recreation, but it's still very important. I always hate having to come up with cons for activities, but I had some help from my husband. He came up with quite a few. But so some pros though, some new experiences. Many of these activities that I've mentioned are not something that most parents and guardians are going to be able to do just because. Even if they wanted to, there are logistics that could be standing in the way. And by us offering them within our programs or as a standalone program, we give both parents and children a chance to try something new with an experienced guide or leader. Life-changing opportunities. I still remember the first time I was in a canoe. I'm not gonna lie, it was not great, but I remember it. Through Girl Scouts, I've been able to canoe and rock climb, cave. I volunteered on a team development course. All of those experiences that I accrued as a youth have impacted me. It's why I studied what I did in college, which has led to my current job. It creates environmental advocates. So many of my participants develop a love for nature and wildlife. If someone has leftover fruits and vegetables at their lunch, they set it aside for the animals at my nature center. A gentleman misidentified a northern water snake for a cottonmouth, and my campers were near tears when they saw the deceased snakes. And parents tell me all the time how their children are properly identifying wildlife and explaining the benefits of these animals. Cons, yes, there are natural dangers. There is poison ivy out there, and there are copperheads and other venomous snakes. But if you leave them alone and don't roll in the poison ivy, you'll be fine. Yes, your canoe could tip over, and that's why you canoe with a lifeguard, and we practice canoe rescue techniques with our staff and the campers. You could trip over a rock and scrape your knee while you're hiking. Bring a stocked first aid kit with you. Making sure you're prepared for the worst case scenario will help you and your participants stay safe and have fun. Costs and fees. The equipment required for some of these activities is not cheap. Even if you outsource to a company to lead and provide the equipment, they still charge a fee. When I plan my field trips for my camps, for every field trip that has a fee, I plan a trip that is free. Weather dependent. I have had to completely cancel multiple river trips due to storms. It'll either be currently raining or it was raining and the river is just running too high. Rescheduling sometimes is not an option. If it's a standalone program, you can typically reschedule a rain date. But if it's an activity you have planned as part of your program, you have to be ready with an indoor plan B. There's some poison ivy for you. Marketing. When it comes to marketing, you need to be marketing for the parents and guardians and the organizers of your target audience. Flyers are great because they can be posted at your facility. Utilize your local school system and send home flyers through the schools, but be sure to check with your local school board. We have to have our flyers pre-approved, which is really easy. If you're invited to set up a table at a special event or a festival, go with plenty of materials for people to take home. Word of mouth is a big one for me. A good amount of my participants sign up because a friend went last year and had a great time. Media is power. Social media, local newspapers, radio stations. Reach out to them if you want them to advertise for you. Going back to the flyers, make sure you have multiple versions. You want a printer-friendly version with not a lot of color or pictures. Instead, print on a colorful paper. Social media, add lots of color and pictures. Links to follow for registration. Newspaper version is similar to the printer-friendly, but with the bare minimum. This first flyer was created with with Publisher, and this was for citizens to pick up and take home. The second flyer was created with Publisher as well for social media to post. And this last one was created with Canva, also for social media to post. The information that you put on your flyers, KISS. Keep it simple, silly. You want to be thorough, but not go overboard. Include dates, times, location, ages, fee, registration, phone number, and email address for more information. I like to print one social media version to display at my nature center to draw people in, and then have plenty of printer-friendly copies for people to take with them. Now get outside.
I have a quick question for Jamie. What would you suggest for equipment or what type of program if you wanted to start up something new? Would it be anything basic with the low budget?
The trick is sometimes you have to start with the cheaper supplies to show higher ups that this is a program that is working, and you constantly have to buy the cheaper supplies. You're going to be spending more money. But starting off with the more inexpensive stuff to develop, so that way you're not a lot of money up front. So I remember when I started with the pond studies, I found nets on petmountain.com, and they were for a koi fish pond, so not for macroinvertebrates at all. But they expanded and they were sturdy and they worked. And so I ordered a bunch of those and showed the benefits of the program. And then when it came time to replace, because the nets did tear and everything, oh cool, sorry, I got distracted by the chat. Someone uses ice cube. That's awesome. So I did reach out to other organizations that do pond studies, and I was like, hey, I'm ready to upgrade my nets. Like, what do you guys use? And so I was put in touch with, I think it's BioQuip, and they have really great nets strictly for macroinvertebrate studies. So, and then same with another program I did that I started with the large, I do a lot of environmental education field trips for the school groups coming to me. And so I started off a program where the kids like have to hang things, and I just used yarn because I had it and it was there. And we do the program every year, and I was constantly having to untangle the yarn and just cut and replace, and it cost a lot of time and money. And so then I was like, okay, look, my director, like, this is a program that's working. Now it's time to move on to better materials. And so, and you'd be surprised also how much stuff you might just have lying around your house. Like she said, Laura said she uses ice cube trays. I know people that use Cool Whip containers. You don't necessarily need the fancy equipment to do this stuff. And then check Craigslist. People are probably, I know when I need new tanks for my animals, I always check Craigslist first. And I'm always like, hey, if you donate to local government, it's a tax write-off and I'll give you a tax letter. And they're like, oh, great. And so, reaching out to your community for materials and supplies is also really beneficial.
All right.
Did that answer your question? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, thanks. Just some quick ideas there.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura, for sharing your idea. Just to get a little bit more context, Laura said that for creek and pond exploration, she uses an ice cube tray to look at each critter and isolate them, and cheap paintbrushes to pick up the more delicate creek critters. And here I go, I'm trying to say this word that only environmental educators really know, macroinvertebrates. So thanks, Laura. And then a quick question from Andrea. She wants to know if different agencies can different agencies apply for fishing kits from wildlife resources to use locally?
So the Rod and Reel Tackle Loaner Program is a program that the Wildlife Resource Commission sponsors. You would have to reach out to them directly to find out if you are able to qualify. I know they do focus on urban areas to promote fishing, and with the community fishing program, you are able to keep what you catch. So it's definitely, I know the park I work at, Stanley Park, we're part of the community fishing program and the Rod and Reel Tackle Loaner program. So we rent out equipment to those who might not be able to afford it on their own, so they can still go fishing. And we have a 6 catfish limit, so people can catch and keep up to 6 catfish, and they can go home and cook it and eat it. So it's definitely something to look into.
Well, thank you so much, Jamie, for that amazing presentation and taking the time to answer those questions. And